When Marina Reeves walked into her manager's office that cold February night, she had no idea her life was about to fall apart. Just 12 hours earlier, she'd made one simple choice. One small act of kindness that seemed so right in the moment. But now, at 8:47 p.m., she stood there shaking as her boss slid a white envelope across his desk. "I'm sorry, Marina," he said quietly. "I have to let you go. Effective immediately." The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. Fired. She was being fired. Marina's mind raced to her 7-year-old daughter waiting at home. The rent due next week. The medical bills still piling up. This job was the only thing keeping them afloat. "But why?" she whispered, her voice cracking. "You broke company policy. You gave away store merchandise without authorization." It was just one small thing, one photograph. One moment of compassion for a desperate grandfather whose grandson was dying in a hospital bed. Marina had risked everything to bring hope to a child she'd never even met. And now she'd lost everything. But what Marina didn't know, what she couldn't possibly know as she walked out of that store carrying a box of her belongings, was that the next morning, someone else would find out what she'd done. Someone who would change her life forever. Michael Jordan was about to discover the truth. What happened next? Well, you'll have to watch this whole video to find out. Because this story, this true story of one fired store clerk and one of the greatest basketball players of all time, will restore your faith in humanity. It will make you cry, and it will remind you that sometimes doing the right thing leads to miracles you never saw coming. So sit back, get comfortable, and let me tell you the incredible true story of how one small act of kindness changed everything. Marina Reeves stood in her manager's office, her hands trembling. The clock on the wall showed 8:47 p.m. Outside, snow fell softly on the Chicago streets, but inside this small room, Marina's world was burning down. Mr. Hutchins sat behind his desk, refusing to meet her eyes. He slid a white envelope across the wooden surface. Marina stared at it like it was a snake ready to strike. "I'm sorry, Marina," he said quietly. "I have to let you go. Effective immediately." The words hit her like a punch to the stomach. Marina's legs felt weak. She gripped the edge of the desk to steady herself. "But why?" Her voice came out as barely a whisper. "Mr." Hutchins sighed heavily. His face looked tired, older than usual. "You broke company policy. You gave away store merchandise without authorization." Marina's throat tightened. Her eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. "Not yet. Not here." "It was just one small thing," she said, her voice cracking. "Please, Mr. Hutchins, I can explain." "Company policy is clear, Marina." He finally looked at her, and she saw something in his eyes. Regret, maybe, or pity. "I don't have a choice. Corporate was very clear about this." Marina thought of her daughter, Lily, waiting at home. She'd be wondering why Mom was so late. Lily didn't know that the rent was due next week. She didn't know about the medical bills still piling up from when she'd been sick 2 years ago. She didn't know that this job was the only thing keeping them afloat. "I have a daughter," Marina whispered. "She's 7 years old." "I know." Mr. Hutchins looked down at his desk. "I'm truly sorry." Marina's mind raced. She wanted to argue, to beg, to explain why she'd done it. But looking at his face, she knew it wouldn't matter. The decision was already made. With shaking hands, she reached for the envelope. The termination letter inside felt heavy, even though it was just paper. Just words that would change everything. Can I get my things?" Mr. Hutchins nodded. "Take your time." Marina walked out of his office in a daze. The store was empty now, closed for the night. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Her footsteps echoed on the tile floor. She found a cardboard box in the back room and began gathering her belongings. A coffee mug Lily had given her for Christmas. Oh, a photo of the two of them at Navy Pier, both laughing in the sunshine. Her employee badge with her smiling face, back when she'd been excited about this job. 3 years. She'd worked here for 3 years. Never missed a day. Never been late. Always went above and beyond. And now it was over. As she walked through the store one last time, she passed the display near the front counter. The spot where it had happened this morning. The moment that had cost her everything. Marina stopped and stared at that spot. Even now, even losing her job, she couldn't regret what she'd done. She thought about the old man's tears, the desperation in his voice, the love in his eyes when he talked about his grandson. She'd made a choice, and she'd make it again. Marina picked up her box and walked toward the door. Tomorrow, she'd figure out how to tell Lily. Tomorrow, she'd start looking for another job. Tomorrow, she'd be strong. But tonight, her world was falling apart. The door locked behind her with a final, terrible click. Marina stood in the cold February air, clutching her cardboard box. The snow touched her face like frozen tears. She loaded everything into her old Honda and sat in the driver's seat, staring at nothing. But to understand how she got here, we need to go back. Back to that morning, when everything was still normal. When Marina still had a job, and hope, and a future. 8:15 a.m. That same day, Marina hummed softly as she arranged vintage basketball jerseys in the display window. The morning sun streamed through the glass, making the colors pop: red and black Bulls jerseys, the classic green Celtics, the purple and gold Lakers. She loved this part of her job. I'm making things beautiful, helping customers find the perfect piece of basketball history. The store was quiet. Tuesday mornings usually were. Most customers came during lunch breaks or after work. These early hours gave Marina time to organize, to clean, to make everything perfect. The bell above the door chimed. Marina looked up and smiled. Good morning. Welcome to Championship Sports. An elderly man shuffled through the door. He wore a faded blue jacket with patches on the elbows. His shoes were worn at the heels. His hands shook slightly as he removed his winter hat, revealing thin white hair. But it was his eyes that caught Marina's attention. They looked tired, sad, like he carried the weight of the world. Good morning, miss, he said softly. His voice was gentle, kind. Do you have any Chicago Bulls items? Not the expensive ones. Not just something small? Something special? Marina's smile widened. Of course. Let me show you what we have. She led him past the main displays toward the clearance section at the back of the store. Here they kept the smaller items: keychains, postcards, bookmarks, pins, stickers. Things that were affordable but still carried meaning. The old man's eyes scanned the items carefully. His weathered fingers touched a keychain with the Bulls logo. He checked the price tag. $15. He picked up a postcard set. $18. A small pin. $12. Marina watched his face fall with each price check. She saw his shoulders slump. These are beautiful, he whispered, more to himself than to her. They really are beautiful. He pulled out his wallet. Marina glimpsed inside. A few crumpled bills, some coins, not much else. I only have $12, he said quietly, almost ashamed. I hoped it would be enough. Marina's heart squeezed. The pin is exactly $12. she said gently. "It's a great piece." The old man nodded, but he didn't look happy. He looked defeated. That's when Marina noticed something that made her breath catch. The man was crying. Silent tears rolled down his weathered cheeks. He wiped them quickly with a shaking hand, trying to hide them. "Sir," Marina said softly, touching his arm, "are you all right?" The man took a shaky breath. He looked at her, and in his eyes, Marina saw a pain so deep it made her chest hurt. "I'm sorry," he said. "I shouldn't burden you with this." "Please," Marina said, "tell me what's wrong." The old man's voice broke. "My grandson, Tommy. He's 8 years old." Another tear fell. He's in the children's hospital right now. He has leukemia." Marina's hand flew to her mouth. The man continued, his words tumbling out like he'd been holding them in for too long. "Tommy loves basketball more than anything in the world, especially the Bulls. When he was healthy, he'd shoot hoops in our driveway for hours. He'd pretend he was making the winning shot in the championship game." Marina felt her own eyes filling with tears. "But now he's so sick, so weak. He barely has the energy to sit up." The old man's voice cracked. "I just wanted to bring him something today. Something to cheer him up when I visit. Something to remind him to fight, to be strong like his heroes, to never give up." The words hit Marina like lightning. Never give up. She knew those words. She'd lived them. 2 years ago, when Lily had pneumonia and the doctors weren't sure she'd make it. When Marina had sat by her daughter's hospital bed, holding her small hand, whispering those exact words, "Keep fighting, baby. Never give up." Marina remembered the terror, the helplessness, the desperate need to do something, anything, to see her child smile again. She looked at this old man, this grandfather who loved his Tommy so much he'd come here with his last $12, hoping to buy hope. "What does Tommy love most about basketball?" Marina asked quietly. The man smiled through his tears. "He says the players never give up. They keep fighting until the final buzzer sounds. No matter how far behind they are, they keep trying." He wiped his eyes. "I tell him he needs to be like that. Keep fighting his own game." Marina's decision crystallized in that moment. "Wait here," she said. "Please, just wait one moment." She walked quickly toward the back room, her heart pounding. Behind the counter, past the regular inventory, was a locked cabinet. This was where they kept the special items, the valuable pieces, the authenticated memorabilia that cost hundreds or thousands of dollars. Marina's hands trembled as she unlocked the cabinet. Her eyes scanned the shelves. She knew what she was about to do. She knew the rules, knew the consequences. But she also knew what it felt like to watch someone you love fight for their life. She knew the power of hope when everything seemed dark. Her fingers closed around a small frame. Inside was a photograph, professionally matted. And on that photograph was a signature in black marker. Bold, unmistakable, authentic. Michael Jordan's autograph, where Marina's heart raced as she carefully removed it from the cabinet. The price tag on the back read $800. $800 for a piece of hope. She thought about Tommy, lying in a hospital bed, too weak to play basketball. She thought about what this might mean to him. Then she thought about Mr. Hutchins, about company policy, about the job she desperately needed. Marina closed her eyes. "Please forgive me," she whispered to no one. She wrapped the photograph carefully in tissue paper and walked back to the elderly man. He was still standing where she'd left him, looking lost and small among the sports memorabilia. "For Tommy," Marina said, holding out the package. "No charge." The man's eyes went wide. His hands shook as he carefully unwrapped the tissue paper. When he saw what was inside, he gasped. This is... He couldn't finish, couldn't speak. It's authenticated, Marina said softly. It's real, but I can't. I don't have the money for... It's a gift. From one person who believes in miracles to another. The elderly man's tears came freely now. Bless you. Bless you so much. You don't know. You can't know what this means. I think I do, Marina said, her own voice thick with emotion. After he left, Marina stood alone in the empty store. Her hands were still shaking. She walked to the computer and opened the inventory system. What had she done? She typed carefully. Michael Jordan signed photo. Personal purchase. Then she walked to the register and took $12 from her purse. The $12 the old man had wanted to spend. She put it in the register and printed a receipt. Maybe, somehow, this would make it right. Maybe no one would notice. But deep in her heart, Marina knew the truth. She'd just broken the most important rule. And there would be consequences. Marina tried to push the thought away as she finished her shift. She organized shelves. She helped a few afternoon customers. She smiled and laughed and acted like everything was normal. But inside, her stomach twisted with worry. At 6 p.m., Mr. Hutchins called her into his office. Marina's legs felt heavy as she walked down the hallway. She knew. Somehow, she knew. Marina, we need to talk about the inventory. 2 hours later, she was holding that termination letter. Now, sitting in her cold car outside the closed store, Marina couldn't stop shaking. The heater blew lukewarm air. Her breath made small clouds in the darkness. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Mom, where are you? I am hungry and I made dinner. Marina's heart broke all over again. Sweet Lily. Her baby. 7 years old and already trying to take care of her mother. She typed back with trembling fingers. On my way home, sweetie. Be there in 20 minutes. Marina started the car and pulled onto the street. Chicago's buildings towered around her, their windows glowing with warm light. Behind each window, people were living normal lives. People with jobs, with security, with futures that weren't crumbling. She drove past the United Center where the Bulls played. The massive building stood dark and silent tonight. No game, just an empty arena. Marina thought about the irony. She'd lost her job at a basketball store because she cared too much about what basketball really meant. About never giving up. About fighting for others. About being part of something bigger than yourself. All those inspirational posters in the store. Michael Jordan quotes about hard work and dedication and pushing through failure. She'd believed every word. And look where it got her. Marina pulled into her apartment building's parking lot. She sat in the car for a moment, gathering her courage. She couldn't tell Lily tonight. Not yet. Not when her daughter was happy and healthy and excited about life. Lily had been through enough. 2 years ago, watching her daughter struggle to breathe, watching machines keep her alive, Marina had promised herself that if Lily recovered, she'd protect her from worry forever. She'd break that promise eventually. She'd have to explain why they might need to move, why things would be different. But not tonight. Tonight, she'd pretend everything was fine. Marina grabbed her purse and walked up the 3 flights of stairs to their apartment. She left the box of belongings in the car. She'd deal with that tomorrow. The apartment door swung open before she could even get her keys out. Mom! Lily threw herself into Marina's arms. You're finally home! Marina hugged her daughter tight, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo. Lily was solid and warm and real. The most important thing in Marina's world. Sorry I'm late, baby. Work was busy. The lie tasted bitter. Lily dragged her inside. The small apartment felt warm and cozy. Their second-hand couch sat against the wall, covered with the colorful blanket Marina's mother had made years ago. Photos covered every surface. Lily as a baby, Lily's first day of school, Lily blowing out birthday candles. This was home. And somehow, Marina had to find a way to keep it. Look! Lily pointed proudly at the kitchen table. Marina's eyes widened. Lily had set the table with their mismatched plates and cups. In the center sat a pot of spaghetti with marinara sauce, Marina's favorite. You made dinner? Well, Mrs. Chen from downstairs helped with the hot water part, Lily admitted. But I did everything else. I remembered how you make it. Marina's throat tightened. It's perfect, sweetheart. Absolutely perfect. They sat down together. Marina forced herself to eat, even though her stomach was in knots. She listened to Lily chatter about her day, about the math test she'd aced, about the new girl in class who needed a friend, about the science fair project she wanted to do. I want to build a volcano, Mom. A real erupting one. We need to go to the craft store this weekend to get supplies. Marina's heart sank. The craft store meant money. Money she didn't have. That sounds amazing, she said carefully. We'll figure it out. After dinner, Lily did her homework while Marina cleaned the kitchen. She scrubbed the dishes slowly, methodically, trying not to think about tomorrow, about job applications, about how she'd explain the gap in her employment, about references from a manager who'd just fired her. At 8:30, Marina tucked Lily into bed. She read her 2 chapters from their current book, a story about a brave girl who never gave up, no matter what obstacles she faced. The irony wasn't lost on Marina. Mom? Lily's voice was sleepy. You seem sad tonight. Marina forced a smile. Just tired, baby. It was a long day. I love you, Mom. I love you more than all the stars in the sky. It was their special phrase, the thing they said to each other every night. Marina kissed Lily's forehead and turned off the light. She stood in the doorway for a moment, watching her daughter's chest rise and fall with peaceful sleep. I'm going to fix this, Marina whispered into the darkness. I promise. But she had no idea how. In her own bedroom, Marina lay on top of the covers, still fully dressed. She stared at the ceiling, watching shadows from passing cars dance across the plaster. Her mind wouldn't stop racing. Tomorrow she'd wake up and start job hunting. She'd check her bank account. $17 left until Friday's paycheck that would never come. She'd figure out how to pay rent, how to buy groceries, how to afford Lily's science fair supplies. And tomorrow, she'd be strong. But tonight, alone in the darkness, Marina allowed herself to cry. Silent tears rolled down her cheeks and soaked into her pillow. She didn't regret what she'd done. Even now, even facing homelessness and hunger and fear, she didn't regret giving that photograph to Tommy. Some things mattered more than rules. Some things mattered more than jobs. Hope mattered. Love mattered. Kindness mattered. But did they matter enough to feed her daughter? To keep a roof over their heads? Marina closed her eyes, exhausted but unable to sleep. Meanwhile, across the city, in a hospital room Marina knew nothing about, an elderly man sat beside a small bed. Tommy lay against white pillows, pale and thin, but his eyes were bright with joy. Open it carefully, Tommy, Walter said softly. Tommy's weak fingers unwrapped the tissue paper. When he saw what was inside, his whole face transformed. Grandpa, is this real? Is this really Michael Jordan's signature? The lady at the store promised it was authentic. She was an angel, Tommy. A real angel. Tommy held the photograph carefully, like it was made of glass. Michael Jordan, in his Bulls uniform, mid-jump, defying gravity. And that signature, bold and strong and real. "I'm going to beat this, Grandpa," Tommy whispered, staring at the photo. "I'm going to be strong like him. I'm going to keep fighting until the final buzzer." Walter squeezed his grandson's hand, tears streaming down his face. In that moment, $800 seemed like the bargain of the century. Marina didn't know about Tommy's transformation. Didn't know that her sacrifice had sparked something powerful in a dying child's heart. She only knew that tomorrow would be the hardest day of her life. She had no job, no prospects, no safety net. But she had Lily. And as long as she had Lily, she had a reason to keep fighting. Marina finally drifted off to sleep just before midnight. Her dreams filled with locked doors and empty bank accounts, and her daughter's trusting face. Tomorrow would bring answers. Just not the ones Marina expected. Friday morning arrived gray and cold. Marina woke at 6:30 a.m., her eyes gritty from crying. For one beautiful moment, she forgot. Then reality crashed over her like an icy wave. No job, no income, no plan. She dragged herself out of bed and shuffled to the kitchen. Coffee. She needed coffee. But when she opened the cabinet, her heart sank. There were only enough grounds for one more pot. After that, she'd need to buy more. With what money? Marina made the coffee anyway and sat at her laptop. The screen glowed blue in the dim morning light. She opened her email first. 17 new messages. Her heart leaped. Maybe someone had responded to her applications? But no, they were all rejections. Form letters with cheerful language about pursuing other candidates and wishing you success in your job search. Marina's hands trembled as she opened her banking app. The numbers glared back at her. $17.23. Rent was due in 5 days. $950. The electric bill would auto-pay on Monday. $87. Lily needed new shoes. Her current ones had holes. Marina pressed her palms against her eyes. Don't cry. Don't fall apart. Think. She opened a job search website and started scrolling. Cashier positions. On warehouse work. Food service. She applied to everything, filling out endless forms, uploading her resume over and over. Previous employer? Championship sports? Reason for leaving? Terminated. May we contact this employer? Yes. No. Maybe. Marina paused. If she said yes, Mr. Hutchins would have to tell them she'd been fired for stealing. If she said no, every company would wonder why. She was trapped. Her phone buzzed. A text from Lily's school. Reminder, Science Fair supply list due today. Projects due February 20th. Marina stared at the message. 2 weeks. Lily had 2 weeks to build her volcano, and Marina had no money for poster board, paint, or baking soda. Mom? Lily's voice came from the hallway. Marina quickly closed her laptop and pasted on a smile. Good morning, sweetie. You're up early. Lily padded into the kitchen in her pajamas, on her hair sticking up in every direction. She looked so small, so innocent. Can we still go to the craft store this weekend? Lily asked hopefully. For my science fair project? Marina's heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. Of course, honey, she lied. Absolutely. Lily beamed. This is going to be the best volcano ever. I'm going to make it explode with red lava and everything. It'll be amazing, Marina said, her voice cracking slightly. After Lily left for school, Marina returned to her laptop. She'd applied to 43 jobs. Not one callback, not one interview. She opened her email again, refreshing obsessively. Nothing, nothing, nothing. At noon, her phone rang. Unknown number. Marina's heart raced. Maybe a job? Please, let it be a job. Hello? Is this Marina Reeves? A woman's voice, professional and cool. Yes, this is she. This is Jennifer from Lakeside Retail. We received your application for the assistant manager position. Marina sat up straight. Yes, thank you for calling. I'm very interested. I'm calling to let you know we've decided to move forward with other candidates. We contacted your previous employer and... Marina's stomach dropped. I understand, she whispered. Thank you for letting me know. The call ended. Marina sat frozen, the phone still pressed to her ear. So that was how it would be. Mr. Hutchins would tell everyone, and no one would hire her. She was unemployable. The apartment suddenly felt too small, the walls pressing in. Marina needed air. She grabbed her jacket and walked outside, not caring where she went. The February wind cut through her thin coat. She walked past familiar stores and restaurants, and seeing "Help Wanted" signs in windows. But what was the point? They'd all call championship sports. They'd all hear the same story. Marina found herself at the lakefront. The water stretched gray and endless before her. Waves crashed against the rocks, angry and cold. She thought about Tommy, about whether the photograph had helped, about whether her sacrifice had meant anything at all. I'd do it again, she said out loud to the empty beach. Even knowing this, I'd still do it? But was that brave or just stupid? Marina didn't know anymore. At the exact same moment, across the city, Michael Jordan sat in his private office on the 32nd floor of a downtown building. He'd flown in from Charlotte late last night for business meetings. The Hornets kept him busy, but Chicago would always feel like home. His assistant, Grace Mitchell, he knocked softly on the door. "Come in," Michael said, not looking up from his phone. Grace entered carrying a tablet and a cup of black coffee. She'd worked for Michael for 8 years and knew his routines perfectly. "Good morning, Mr. Jordan. You have a full schedule today. Marketing meeting at 10, lunch with the investors at noon, conference call with Charlotte at 3. Grace." Michael's voice was sharp. "What's that?" He pointed at the tablet. Grace had been scrolling through something, and she'd paused on a document. "Oh, this?" Grace hesitated. "It's just an incident report from the memorabilia store chain, part of your authentication partnership. I was going to file it, but..." "Show me." Grace handed him the tablet, her expression uncertain. Michael's eyes narrowed as he read. "Der employee termination. Report, employee name. Marina Reeves. Position, sales associate. Location, Championship Sports, Michigan Avenue. Date, February 8, 2026. Reason, unauthorized distribution of authenticated merchandise. Details, employee gave away one autographed photograph from the Michael Jordan Limited Collection, authenticated, valued at $825, to an unauthorized customer without payment or manager approval. Employee attempted to log transaction as personal purchase with $12 payment, which does not cover merchandise value. Action taken. Immediate termination per company policy. Section 4.7. Zero tolerance for merchandise theft. Regional manager notes. Employee had clean record prior to incident. Security footage shows deliberate action. Corporate notified. Michael set down the tablet carefully. His jaw tightened. "Say, when did this happen?" "Yesterday evening. The termination was processed at 8:47 p.m. "And you were going to file this without telling me?" Grace shifted uncomfortably. "Sir, the store handles hundreds of transactions. This is just standard procedure when company policy is..." "Nothing about this is standard." Michael's voice was cold. "Someone got fired over something with my name on it. That makes it my business. He picked up the tablet again, reading more carefully. Do we have security footage? According to the report, yes, and the full inventory log. Get them, and get me everything on this Marina Reeves. Everything. Where she lives, her work history, her situation. Grace pulled out her phone, making notes. Sir, the store has already processed the termination. The case is closed according to corporate. Michael looked up, and Grace recognized that expression. The same intensity he'd had on the court before every championship game. The look that said he was about to do something nobody expected. Nothing is closed until I say it's closed, he said quietly. Get me that information by noon. Mr. Jordan, your schedule. Clear it if you have to. This is more important. Grace nodded and hurried out. Michael stood and walked to the window. Below, Chicago stretched out in every direction. Somewhere in this city, a woman named Marina Reeves had just lost everything. Because of him. Because of his signature. He thought about all the autographs he'd signed over the years, thousands, tens of thousands. Each one a promise to a fan, each one carrying weight. But he'd never thought about the people in between. The store workers, the handlers, or the ones who made sure those autographs reached the people who needed them. And he'd certainly never thought about someone losing their job over one. Michael pulled out his phone and made a call. This is Michael Jordan. I need you to find someone for me. The voice on the other end responded immediately. Of course, Mr. Jordan. Who are we looking for? Marina Reeves. She worked at Championship Sports on Michigan Avenue. I need everything. Address, background, family situation. And I need it fast. I'll have it within the hour. Michael ended the call and turned back to the window. His reflection stared back at him. Older now, grayer, but still carrying the weight of his legacy. Every decision he made rippled outward, affecting people he'd never meet. Apparently, even his signatures had consequences. Grace returned 30 minutes later with a thick folder and her tablet. That was fast, Michael said. Your name opens doors, sir. Grace set the folder on his desk. Marina Reeves, age 31, single mother. One daughter, Lily, age 7. They live in a 2-bedroom apartment in Lakeview. Michael opened the folder. A photo showed a young woman with kind eyes and a warm smile. Her employee badge picture from the store. Grace continued, reading from the tablet. She's worked at Championship Sports for 3 years. Perfect attendance record. Multiple Employee of the Month awards. Customer reviews are exceptional. She consistently went above and beyond. Until yesterday, Michael said quietly. Until yesterday, Grace agreed. Her file shows no disciplinary issues. Not one. No warnings, no complaints, nothing. Michael flipped through the papers. Then he stopped. What's this? Medical records. Public hospital records from 2 years ago. Grace's voice softened. Her daughter, Lily, was hospitalized for severe pneumonia. Touch and go for a while. The bills were substantial. Michael studied the documents. Hospital stays, ICU care, medications. The numbers made his chest tight. She's still paying them off, Grace said. According to her credit report, she makes regular payments, never missed one. But the total is over $40,000. Jesus, Michael breathed. There's more. Her rent is $950 a month. She has no family in Chicago, no support system that we can find. Her bank account currently shows $17.23. Michael looked up sharply. Seat, $17? As of this morning. The office fell silent. Michael sat back in his chair, processing. This woman, this single mother drowning in medical debt, working hard to provide for her daughter, had thrown away her livelihood for something. "The security footage," Michael said. "Do we have it?" Grace turned her tablet toward him. "I can play it now." The video was black and white, slightly grainy. It showed the store from a high angle. The timestamp read 8:34 a.m., February 8th. Michael watched Marina arrange items at the counter. She moved with easy confidence, clearly comfortable in her job. Then an elderly man entered the frame. "Can you enhance the audio?" Michael asked. Grace adjusted settings. Suddenly, voices filled the room. "Do you have any Chicago Bulls items? Not the expensive ones. Just something small?" Michael watched Marina's face as she led the man to the clearance section. Even in grainy footage, her kindness showed. The way she smiled, the patience in her gestures. Then the old man checked prices. His shoulders slumped with each tag he read. The video showed him crying. Michael leaned forward, his attention locked on the screen. Marina noticed the tears. She touched the man's arm gently. "Sir, are you all right?" What happened next made Michael's throat tighten. The old man's voice cracked through the speakers. "My grandson, Tommy. He's 8 years old. He's in the children's hospital right now. He has leukemia." Michael closed his eyes briefly. The man continued, "Tommy loves basketball more than anything. I just wanted to bring him something to remind him to fight, and to be strong like his heroes." On screen, Marina stood very still. Michael could see the exact moment she made her decision. Something changed in her posture, her expression. She walked off camera toward the back room. "This is where she accessed the secured cabinet," Grace said quietly. Marina returned carrying something wrapped in tissue paper. She handed it to the old man. "For Tommy. No charge." The elderly man's reaction was pure joy and disbelief. He hugged the package to his chest like it was made of gold. "Bless you. Bless you so much." After he left, Marina stood alone at the counter. The footage showed her opening the register, taking money from her purse, and carefully logging something on the computer. The video ended. Michael sat in silence for a long moment. "She tried to make it right," he finally said. She paid what she could and logged it. "Company policy is clear, though," Grace said carefully. "Any unauthorized distribution is automatic termination. No exceptions. That's retail standard across the industry." "I know the policy." Michael's voice was sharp. "But tell me something, Grace. You watched that video. What did you see?" Grace hesitated. "I saw someone making a choice." "You saw someone understanding what matters." Michael stood and paced to the window. "That old man's grandson is dying. Basketball is all that kid has to hold on to. And this woman, this single mother who can't afford to lose her job, she gave away something that belonged to me to give that child hope." The photograph was valued at $800 to $25, Grace reminded him. "And what's hope worth?" Michael turned to face her. "Oh, what's a child's will to live worth? What's the belief that people still care about each other worth?" Grace was quiet. Michael pulled out his phone again. "Get me information on the old man and the grandson. I want to know their names. I want to know where the child is hospitalized." "Sir, may I ask why?" "Because someone lost everything to make sure one of my autographs reached someone who needed it. That means something." Michael's voice was firm. "And because I've made millions putting my name on things, the least I can do is find out what happened when someone thought my signature was worth sacrificing for." Grace nodded and left the office. Michael returned to the folder. He studied Marina's employee evaluations. Every review praised her dedication, her warmth, her ability to connect with customers. One manager had written, "Marina treats every customer like family. She remembers their names, their stories, their favorite teams. She doesn't just sell merchandise, she shares passion." Another note. Marina stayed late 3 nights this week to help reorganize inventory without being asked. She takes pride in her work. And now she was unemployed, probably terrified, definitely desperate, because she'd cared too much. Michael had built his entire career on the belief that character mattered, that how you played the game was more important than the final score. That greatness wasn't just about talent, it was about heart. And here was someone who demonstrated more heart in one moment than most people showed in a lifetime. His phone buzzed, a text from his contact. "Found the old man, Walter Brennan, age 74, on grandson Tommy Brennan, age 8, admitted to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, pediatric oncology, stage 3 leukemia, prognosis uncertain." Another text followed. "Hospital staff report Tommy's attitude has dramatically improved since yesterday, showing more fighting spirit. Doctors say mental state is critical for treatment success." Michael stared at that last message. Tommy's fighting spirit had improved. Because of a photograph. Because Marina had sacrificed everything to give him hope. And hope was keeping him alive. Michael made a decision. He called Grace back into the office. "Cancel everything on my schedule today. All of it." "Sir, the investors will understand. Or they won't. Either way, I'm not going." Michael grabbed his jacket. "I need 2 addresses. Marina Reeves's home and Northwestern Memorial Hospital." "You're going to visit them?" Grace looked shocked. "I'm going to fix this." Michael headed for the door, then paused. "And Grace? Not a word to anyone. No press, no photos. This is private." "Where should I tell people you are?" Michael smiled slightly. "Tell them I'm taking care of something important. The most important thing I've done in a long time." He walked out, leaving Grace staring after him. In the elevator, Michael pulled out his phone and looked at Marina's photo again. She looked tired in the picture, but her smile was genuine, real. He thought about all the people who'd helped him throughout his career, coaches who believed in him, teammates who pushed him, fans who never gave up on him. And now it was his turn to show up for someone else. The elevator doors opened to the parking garage. Here Michael's driver stood waiting by the car. "Where to, Mr. Jordan?" Michael gave Marina's address. "And then to the hospital. We're going to visit a kid named Tommy." As the car pulled out into Chicago traffic, Michael felt something he hadn't felt in years. That pre-game energy. That sense of purpose. He'd won 6 championships, built a billion-dollar brand, achieved everything basketball had to offer. But today, he had a chance to do something that mattered even more. He had a chance to change someone's life. And Michael Jordan never backed down from a challenge. The car wound through Chicago streets, past coffee shops and corner stores, toward Lakeview. Michael watched the neighborhoods change through tinted windows. Gleaming downtown towers gave way to older buildings with character. Trees lined the sidewalks, and their branches bare in the winter cold. "Turn here," the GPS announced. They pulled up to a modest 3-story apartment building. The brick facade was clean but worn. A small garden out front lay dormant under patches of melting snow. Michael's driver looked uncertain. "Sir, should I come with you?" "No. Wait here. This is something I need to do alone." Michael stepped out of the car. 2 security personnel emerged from the follow vehicle, but he waved them back. "Stay with the cars. Give me space." They nodded reluctantly. Michael stood on the sidewalk for a moment, looking up at the building. Somewhere inside, Marina was probably searching job listings, terrified about her future. She had no idea her world was about to change again. He climbed the front steps and checked the directory. Reeves, 3B, third floor, and the building's inner door was unlocked. Michael climbed the stairs, his footsteps echoing in the quiet hallway. Cooking smells drifted from different apartments, something with garlic, something sweet. Normal people living normal lives. He reached the third floor and found apartment 3B. The door had a small wreath made of plastic flowers. A child's drawing was taped to the front, a stick figure family under a rainbow. Michael took a deep breath and knocked. 3 firm raps. Silence. Then footsteps inside, hesitant, careful. The peephole darkened as someone looked through. A long pause. The door opened slowly, and Marina Reeves stood there in sweatpants and an old Northwestern University t-shirt. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. Her eyes were red-rimmed from crying. When she saw him, all color drained from her face. "Mr. Jordan?" Her voice came out as barely a whisper. "Hello, Marina. May I come in?" She didn't move. Couldn't move. She just stared at him like he was a ghost. I don't understand. How did you—" "Please," Michael said gently. "I'd like to talk with you. It won't take long." Marina stepped back numbly, her hand still gripping the doorknob. Michael entered, and she closed the door behind him with shaking hands. The apartment was small but spotlessly clean. A worn couch faced a modest television. Bookshelves lined one wall, stuffed with children's books and a few adult novels. Photos covered every available surface. A little girl at various ages, always smiling. Marina stood frozen in the middle of her living room, looking like she might faint. "Please, sit down," Michael said. You should sit. Can I get you something? Water? A coffee?" Her voice trembled. "I'm sorry. I wasn't expecting. I never thought." "Marina." Michael's voice was kind but firm. "Breathe. Just breathe." She took a shaky breath and sat on the edge of the couch. Michael sat in the chair across from her, maintaining a respectful distance. "I know about what happened at the store," he said. "I heard about your termination." Marina's eyes filled with tears instantly. "Mr. Jordan, I'm so sorry. I know what I did was wrong. I broke the rules. If there's legal action, I understand. I couldn't afford a lawyer, but I'll figure something out. Please don't—" "Marina, stop!" Michael leaned forward. "I'm not here about legal action. There is no legal action." She looked confused, terrified. "Then why—" Michael reached into his jacket and pulled out an envelope. "I came to give you this." Marina's hands trembled as she took it. She opened the envelope carefully, like it might explode. Inside was a check. Her eyes went wide when she saw the amount. "I can't. This is—" She couldn't finish the sentence. "That's not a gift," Michael said. "It's a job offer." Marina's head snapped up. "What?" "Keep reading." Below the check was a letter on official foundation letterhead. Marina's eyes scanned the words, but they didn't seem to register. She read it again. And again. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Let me explain." Michael settled back in his chair. "I'm opening a new community outreach program through my foundation. It's called the Hope Initiative. The program focuses on helping families facing medical crises, connecting them with resources, providing support, and creating moments of hope when everything feels hopeless." Marina was crying now, silent tears streaming down her face. I need someone to run the Chicago branch, Michael continued. Someone who understands what it means to care more about people than rules. Someone who knows what it's like to watch their child fight for their life. Someone with integrity. But I was fired, Marina choked out. I have no credibility. No one will trust. You were fired for having a heart. That's exactly the kind of person I need. Michael's expression was serious, intense. I've seen the security footage, Marina. I watched you make a choice that cost you everything. You knew the consequences, and you did it anyway, because you understood something most people forget. What? Marina whispered. That hope is worth more than any price tag, and that sometimes doing the right thing means breaking the rules. Michael paused. That some things are more important than protecting yourself. Marina covered her face with her hands, sobbing. Michael waited patiently, letting her process. Finally, she looked up, mascara running down her cheeks. Why would you do this? You don't know me. I'm nobody. You're wrong. Michael's voice was firm. You're exactly the kind of person I built my career trying to be. Someone who fights for others. Someone who never gives up. Someone who understands that the game isn't about you. It's about lifting up everyone around you. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the Chicago skyline. I've signed thousands of autographs in my life, maybe hundreds of thousands. Every time I think about the person who'll receive it, what it might mean to them. He turned back to Marina. But I never imagined someone would risk everything to make sure one of those autographs reached someone who truly needed it. There was a little boy, Marina said softly. Tommy. He's dying, Mr. Jordan, and his grandfather just wanted to give him hope. I kept thinking about my Lily, about when she was sick, about how desperate I felt. I know. I read your file. I know about Lily's illness, about the medical bills you're still paying. Michael returned to his chair. The salary is in that offer letter. It's substantially more than you were making at the store. Full benefits, health care coverage for you and your daughter. Every medical bill from Lily's illness will be paid. That's part of the employment package. Marina's mouth opened, but no words came out. But there's one condition, Michael said. Her face fell. What condition? I want you to come with me right now, to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I want to meet Tommy, and I want you there when I do. Marina wiped her eyes. You want to visit Tommy? I want to meet the boy who's fighting for his life, because you believed he deserved hope. Michael stood. So, what do you say? Will you accept the position? Marina looked at the check again, at the letter, at this man who'd just walked into her disaster of a life and offered her salvation. I don't deserve this, she whispered. That's where you're wrong. Michael extended his hand. You deserve this more than anyone I've ever met. You just don't realize it yet. Marina stood on shaky legs. She looked at Michael's outstretched hand, the hand that had won 6 championships, and the hand that had made impossible shots, the hand that had signed the photograph that changed everything. She took it. Yes, she said, her voice growing stronger. Yes, I accept. Michael smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. Good. Now go change into something comfortable. We have a hospital visit to make. I need to look professional. Marina, Michael's voice was gentle. You're about to meet a dying child. He doesn't care what you're wearing. He'll care that you showed up. 10 minutes later, Marina emerged from her bedroom in jeans and a clean sweater. She'd washed her face and pulled her hair back neatly. I need to leave a note for Lily, she said. She'll be home from school in a few hours. Write it. We'll be back before then. Marina scribbled a quick note. Went out for a bit. Big news when you get home. I love you more than all the stars. Mom. She grabbed her coat and followed Michael out of the apartment, still feeling like she was dreaming. In the hallway, Michael's security team fell into step behind them. Mr. Jordan? Marina's voice was small. Can I ask you something? Anything. Why did you really come here? You could have just called. You could have sent someone else. Michael stopped at the top of the stairs and looked at her directly. Because 30 years ago, a kid from North Carolina needed someone to believe in him, needed someone to show up. And people did. They changed my life. His expression was serious. You showed up for Tommy and his grandfather. Now I'm showing up for you. That's how this works, Marina. We lift each other up. They walked down the stairs together, a basketball legend and a fired store clerk, about to change a little boy's world. And maybe, just maybe, change their own worlds too. The car waited outside, sleek and black. Ready? Michael asked. Marina took a deep breath. Ready. They climbed into the car, and the driver pulled away from the curb. Marina watched her apartment building disappear behind them. Everything had changed in less than an hour. Her entire life had transformed because she'd made one choice. One small act of kindness. And now, Michael Jordan was taking her to meet the boy whose life she'd saved. Marina closed her eyes and sent up a silent prayer of thanks. Sometimes miracles did happen. Sometimes hope was rewarded. Sometimes doing the right thing led to something beautiful. The car headed toward Northwestern Memorial Hospital, carrying hope with it. Marina sat in silence, watching Chicago blur past the window. Her mind couldn't catch up with reality. 20 minutes ago, she'd been applying to jobs she was overqualified for, desperate and afraid. Now she sat in Michael Jordan's car, heading to visit a dying child. Life could change in an instant. Nervous? Michael asked. Marina nodded. I keep thinking about Tommy, about whether the photograph actually helped. What if he's worse? What if... Then we show up anyway, Michael said firmly. That's what matters. Not the outcome, the showing up. The hospital appeared ahead, a massive complex of towers and wings. The car pulled up to a side entrance, away from the main lobby. We're going in quietly, Michael explained. No press, no announcement. This isn't about publicity. They entered through a staff door. A hospital administrator was waiting, a woman in her 50s with kind eyes. Mr. Jordan, thank you for coming. I'm Dr. Sarah Patel, head of pediatric oncology. They shook hands. Dr. Patel glanced at Marina with curiosity, but didn't ask questions. Tommy Brennan is in room 412, Dr. Patel said as they walked. I should prepare you. He's very sick. The leukemia is aggressive, but something remarkable happened yesterday. What happened? Marina asked. His grandfather brought him a gift, an autographed photograph. Dr. Patel smiled at Michael. Your photograph, actually. And something shifted in Tommy. He's been talking about fighting, about not giving up. His vitals have even improved slightly. Sometimes hope is the best medicine we can offer. Marina's throat tightened. It had mattered. Her sacrifice had actually mattered. When they took an elevator to the 4th floor, the pediatric wing was painted in cheerful colors, rainbows and clouds and cartoon animals. But no amount of bright paint could hide the reality. This was where children fought for their lives. Marina had walked these halls 2 years ago when Lily was sick. She remembered the antiseptic smell, the beeping machines, the crushing fear. They approached room 412. Through the small window, Marina could see an elderly man sitting in a chair beside a hospital bed. Walter, the grandfather from the store. Dr. Patel knocked softly and opened the door. "Walter, you have some special visitors." Walter looked up. His eyes widened when he saw Marina. Then he saw Michael Jordan, and his jaw literally dropped. "You," he breathed, looking at Marina. "You're the angel from the store." Marina stepped inside, and her eyes immediately going to the bed. Tommy lay against white pillows, painfully thin. His skin was pale, almost translucent. An IV line ran into his arm. Monitors beeped softly beside him. But his eyes were bright and alert. And clutched against his chest was the photograph. Michael Jordan mid-jump, frozen in greatness. The signature bold across the bottom. Tommy stared at the doorway. At Marina. Then at Michael Jordan standing behind her. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Hey, champ," Michael said softly, stepping into the room. "I heard you've been taking good care of my photograph." Tommy's eyes filled with tears. Happy tears. Disbelieving tears. You're really here," he whispered. "Grandpa, he's really here." Walter stood, his own eyes wet. He looked at Marina. "I prayed I'd see you again. I prayed I could thank you properly." "You don't need to thank me," Marina said, moving closer to the bed. "I just wanted to help." "You saved him." Walter's voice cracked. "Not just his life, his spirit. He was given up. He was so tired of fighting. But yesterday, when he saw this photograph, something changed. He started talking about being strong, about never giving up." Michael approached the bed slowly, his expression gentle. "Tommy, can I sit down?" Tommy nodded frantically. Michael pulled up a chair and sat at eye level with the boy. For a moment, the legend and the child just looked at each other. "Your grandpa told me you love basketball," Michael said. "More than anything," Tommy whispered. His voice was weak but determined. "I used to play every day. Before I got sick." "What position?" "Point guard. I like you when you were young." Tommy's face lit up despite his exhaustion. "I wasn't very good yet, but I practiced. I practiced so hard. That's what matters, not being good, working to get better." Michael leaned forward. "Can I tell you something important?" Tommy nodded. "I failed over and over in my career. I missed thousands of shots. I lost hundreds of games. But you know what I learned?" "What?" "The game isn't over until the final buzzer sounds. No matter how far behind you are, no matter how tired you feel, you keep playing, you keep fighting." Michael's voice was intense but kind. "You're in the biggest game of your life right now, Tommy, and I'm here to tell you that I believe you can win." Tommy's tears spilled over. "I'm so tired, Mr. Jordan. It hurts all the time, and the medicine makes me sick. Sometimes I just want to stop fighting." Marina's hand flew to her mouth. Beside her, Walter made a choked sound. Michael didn't flinch. "I know. I can't imagine how hard this is, but here's what I want you to remember." He pointed to the photograph Tommy held. "You see me in that picture? I'm in the air, defying gravity. Everyone said it was impossible, but I did it anyway. You know why? Why? Because I believed I could, and I had people who believed in me." Michael gestured to Marina. "This lady, right here, she lost her job to make sure you got that photograph. She risked everything because she believed you were worth fighting for." Tommy looked at Marina with wide eyes. "You lost your job?" Marina stepped forward, kneeling beside the bed. "Yes, and I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because you deserve hope, Tommy. You deserve people fighting for you just as hard as you're fighting for yourself." "But now you don't have money," Tommy said, worried even in his own suffering. "That's not fair." Michael smiled. "Actually, I gave her a better job. A really important job helping other kids and families who are going through what you're going through." Tommy's face showed relief, then confusion. "Why would you do that?" "Because she showed me something I'd forgotten," Michael said simply, "that what we do for each other matters more than any game, more than any championship." He paused. "Tommy, I've won 6 NBA titles. I've achieved everything basketball has to offer. But coming here today, meeting you, this matters more than all of those combined." The room was silent, except for the soft beeping of monitors. Tommy looked at the photograph, and then at Michael, then at Marina. "I don't want to let you down." "You couldn't," Marina said, taking his small hand. "Fighting is winning, Tommy. Every day you wake up and try, that's winning. Whether you beat this or not, you're already a champion." Walter moved closer, his hand on his grandson's shoulder. "She's right, Tommy. You've already won by not giving up." Michael stood and reached into his jacket. He pulled out a marker. "Tommy, can I add something to that photograph?" Tommy carefully handed over the precious picture. Michael wrote on it for a moment, then handed it back. Below his original signature, he'd added, "To Tommy Brennan, the bravest player I ever met. Keep fighting. Never give up. Your friend, Michael Jordan." Tommy read it slowly, his lips moving with each word. When he finished, he clutched the photograph to his chest and sobbed. Michael stayed for an hour. He talked basketball with Tommy, about plays and players and memorable games. He made the boy laugh, really laugh, for the first time in weeks. He signed a hospital gown, a pillowcase, and a basketball the staff brought in. But mostly, he just sat with Tommy. Present. There. Showing up. Marina watched it all with tears streaming down her face. This was what hope looked like. This was why she'd made that choice in the store. Before leaving, Michael leaned close to Tommy. "I'm going to come back and visit you. I want updates on your progress. And when you beat this, when, not if, I want you to come to a Bulls game. Front row seats. You and your grandpa." "Really?" Tommy's voice was filled with wonder. "Really? That's a promise. You and I never break my promises." They said their goodbyes. Walter hugged Marina so tightly she could barely breathe. "Thank you," he whispered. "Thank you for seeing us, for caring." "Thank you for reminding me why I care," Marina replied. In the hallway, Dr. Patel pulled Michael aside. "What you did in there, that's as powerful as any medicine we can give him. He has a real fight ahead, but now he has a reason to keep fighting." "How are his chances?" Michael asked quietly. Dr. Patel's expression was guarded. "Honestly, 50-50. But yesterday those odds were worse. Hope changes things. Will to live changes things." Back in the elevator, Marina and Michael stood in silence. "Thank you for letting me be part of that," Marina finally said. "You were already part of it, and I just made sure you got to see what your sacrifice created." The doors opened to the parking level. They walked to the car, Marina's mind spinning. "Mr. Jordan? Call me Michael. We're going to be working together." Marina smiled slightly. "Michael, that job offer, is it real? This whole day feels like a dream." "It's real. Monday morning, you start. We'll set up an office downtown. You'll have a full team. And your first job is to help me design this program from the ground up." Michael opened the car door for her. "I need someone who understands what families like Tommy's are going through. Someone who gets it." Marina climbed in, still processing. I won't let you down. I know you won't, because you've already proven what you're made of. The car pulled out of the parking garage into the late afternoon sun, but Marina checked her phone. 3:47 p.m. Lily would be home soon. I need to tell my daughter, Marina said. She doesn't know I was fired. She doesn't know about any of this. Tell her tonight. Tell her that sometimes when doors close, better doors open. Michael looked at her seriously. And Marina? Bring her to the office Monday. I want to meet the girl who inspired all of this. Marina's eyes widened. Lily inspired this. You made that choice because you understood what it's like to watch your child suffer. Lily made you who you are. So yes, she inspired this. The car pulled up to Marina's building. She gathered her things, the envelope with the check and offer letter, her purse, her phone. She turned to Michael. I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You showed up for someone who needed it. Now go show up for your daughter. And tell her the good news. Marina stepped out of the car, her legs still shaky. She watched Michael's car pull away, carrying a legend back to whatever legends did on Friday afternoons. Then she climbed the stairs to her apartment, holding hope in an envelope. Everything had changed. Her daughter was about to learn that miracles were real, but that was 6 months ago. 6 months of transformation, 6 months of building something beautiful from the ashes of despair. Now, Marina stood backstage at the Chicago Grand Ballroom, smoothing down her navy blue dress. Her hands trembled slightly, but not from fear, from excitement, from gratitude, from the overwhelming sense that life had led her exactly where she was meant to be. 5 minutes, Ms. Reeves, a production assistant said, passing by with a clipboard. As Marina took a deep breath and peeked through the curtain at the crowd gathering in the ballroom. Over 300 people, donors, volunteers, families the program had helped, media, city officials. All here for the official launch of the Michael Jordan Community Hope Foundation's Chicago branch. In the front row sat Tommy Brennan. Marina's breath caught. Tommy wore a Chicago Bulls jersey, number 23. His hair had grown back, dark and thick. His cheeks had color. He was laughing at something his grandfather said. He was alive, thriving, in remission. Beside Tommy sat Lily, Marina's daughter, in her favorite purple dress. The two had become close friends over the past months. Lily visited Tommy regularly, bringing games and books and her endless 7-year-old energy. Marina's eyes swept the room, to taking in the families scattered throughout the audience. The Hendersons, their son had cystic fibrosis. The Nguyens, their daughter needed a heart transplant. The Carters, twins with severe autism who needed specialized therapy. 47 families. The Hope Foundation had helped 47 families in 6 months, connected them with resources, paid medical bills, provided emotional support, created moments of light in their darkest hours. And it was just the beginning. Marina? A familiar voice behind her. She turned. Michael Jordan stood there in a sharp black suit, looking every bit the legend he was. But his expression was warm, friendly. Over the past 6 months, he'd become more than her employer. He'd become a mentor, a friend. You ready? He asked. I think so. I'm just nervous about the speech. Don't be. Just speak from your heart. That's all anyone needs to hear. Music began playing in the ballroom, something uplifting and hopeful. The crowd settled into their seats. That's our cue, Michael said. Let's go change some lives. They walked onto the stage together. Applause erupted. Camera flashes popped. Marina took her place at the side of the stage while Michael approached the podium. He waited for the applause to die down, his presence commanding the room effortlessly. "Thank you all for being here tonight," Michael began. "6 months ago, I received a report that changed my perspective on what really matters. It was about an employee who'd been fired for breaking company rules." The room grew silent. People leaned forward, curious. This employee had given away something valuable, something that belonged to me, something I'd signed. An authenticated photograph worth over $800. Michael paused, letting the words sink in. Company policy was clear. She'd violated the rules. She was terminated immediately. Marina watched the audience. Some people nodded, understanding the logic of corporate policy. "But here's what that report didn't capture," Michael continued, his voice growing stronger. "It didn't capture the why. It didn't explain that this woman had given away that photograph to an elderly man whose 8-year-old grandson was dying of leukemia. It didn't mention that the boy had lost all will to fight. It didn't show that this one act of kindness sparked something in that child. A determination to live, to fight, to believe in hope again." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Marina saw people turning to look at Tommy, who sat very still, so holding Walter's hand. "That employee was Marina Reeves," Michael gestured toward her. "She lost her job for one small act of kindness, but that one small act saved a life." The audience erupted in applause. Marina felt her face flush as hundreds of eyes turned to her. Michael waited for quiet. Tommy Brennan's doctors told me later that his will to fight, sparked by that photograph, made all the difference in his treatment. His mental state shifted. His body responded. And today, 6 months later, Tommy is here with us, in remission, alive. The applause was thunderous now. Tommy stood up, waving shyly. Walter beside him was crying openly. "That photograph Marina gave away was valued at $800, Michael said. But what it created? Priceless." He let that word hang in the air. "I've spent my life chasing excellence. 6 championships, Olympic gold medals, a career that exceeded my wildest dreams. But somewhere along the way, I forgot something important. I forgot that success isn't measured by trophies or bank accounts. It's measured by the lives you touch when nobody's watching. It's measured by what you're willing to sacrifice for others." Michael's voice grew passionate. Marina was willing to lose everything. Her job, her income, her ability to provide for her own daughter, to help a stranger. That's championship character. That's what real greatness looks like. Marina wiped tears from her eyes. "So I offered Marina a job, not because I felt sorry for her, but because someone who understands the true value of hope is exactly who should be leading a Hope Foundation." Michael smiled. "Today, I'm proud to announce that Marina has been promoted to Regional Director of the Michael Jordan Hope Foundation. She'll be overseeing programs in 5 states: Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio." The audience rose to their feet, applauding. Marina covered her mouth with her hands, overwhelmed. She'd known about the expansion plans, but Michael had kept the regional director position secret until this moment. "Marina, come here," Michael called. On shaking legs, Marina walked to the podium. Michael stepped aside, giving her the microphone. She looked out at the sea of faces, at Tommy, beaming in the front row, at Lily, bouncing excitedly in her seat, at all the families whose lives had been touched by the foundation. "6 months ago," Marina began, her voice trembling, "I made a choice that cost me everything. Or so I thought. And I stood in a store and looked at an elderly man who was desperate to bring hope to his dying grandson. And I chose to break the rules, to risk my job, to do what felt right, even though I knew the consequences. She paused, gathering her thoughts. When I was fired that night, I sat in my car and cried. I thought my life was over. I had $17 in my bank account. Rent was due. My daughter needed things I couldn't afford. I was terrified. The room was absolutely silent. But the next morning, Michael Jordan knocked on my door. Marina looked at Michael, gratitude shining in her eyes. He didn't come to punish me. He came to thank me. He came to show me that my sacrifice hadn't been in vain. He came to offer me a chance to turn one act of kindness into a lifetime of helping others. Marina's voice grew stronger. These past 6 months, we've helped 47 families. We've paid medical bills. We've connected people with resources. We've held hands through scary diagnoses. We've celebrated victories and mourned losses. We've shown up again and again because that's what hope requires. Showing up. She gestured to the families in the audience. Every person in this room represents someone who refused to give up. Someone who kept fighting. Someone who chose hope even when everything seemed hopeless. Marina looked directly at Tommy. Tommy, 6 months ago you were fighting for your life. Today you're here, healthy and strong, because you never gave up. You taught me that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's fighting anyway. Tommy wiped his eyes, smiling through tears. Marina turned back to the full audience. I learned something important through all of this. We're told that following rules and protecting ourselves is the smart thing to do, the safe thing. But sometimes the right thing means taking risks. It means choosing people over policies. It means believing that love and hope and kindness matter more than security. Her voice filled with emotion. I would make that same choice again, even knowing I'd be fired, even knowing the fear and uncertainty that followed. Because some things are worth everything. The audience was completely captivated. Michael Jordan taught me that the final score doesn't matter as much as how you play the game. That showing up for others is the truest measure of success. That hope, real, powerful, transformative hope, is always worth fighting for. Marina smiled through her tears. So to everyone here tonight, thank you for showing up. Thank you for believing in this mission. Thank you for being part of something that changes lives. She stepped back from the podium. The audience erupted. People were on their feet, applauding, crying, cheering. Michael hugged Marina briefly, then took the microphone again. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm announcing tonight that the Hope Foundation is expanding nationwide. Over the next year, we'll open branches in 10 major cities. We'll help thousands of families. And it all started because one woman made one choice. He pulled an object from behind the podium, a frame. Marina, I have something for you. Marina approached, curious. Michael turned the frame around. Inside was her termination letter from Championship Sports. Mounted, framed, preserved. Below it, and Michael had written, "Sometimes getting fired is life's way of redirecting you toward your destiny. Your failure changed the world. MJ." Marina burst into tears. Michael set the frame on a table and addressed the audience one final time. "Keep this. Remember that sometimes what looks like the end is really the beginning. Remember that doing the right thing, even at great personal cost, is always worth it." His voice rang out strong and clear. Remember that hope is never wasted. Never. The program continued with testimonials from families. Walter stood and spoke about watching his grandson come back to life. Other parents shared stories of how the foundation had helped them, but Marina barely heard it. She stood backstage, clutching that framed termination letter, thinking about the journey. From fired and desperate to regional director in 6 months. From $17 in her bank account to a salary that had paid off every medical bill and allowed her to move into a better apartment. From one act of kindness to a program helping thousands. After the event, as the crowd mingled, Tommy and Lily rushed up to Marina together. "Ms. Marina," Tommy hugged her tightly, "that speech was amazing." "You made me cry," Lily added, hugging her mother's other side. "Happy crying." Marina knelt down, pulling both children close. "You two are the reason I do this. All of this." "Mom?" Lily looked up at her. "Is that really the letter that said you were fired?" "Yes, sweetie." "Why would you keep it?" Marina thought about the question. "Because it reminds me that sometimes the worst moments lead to the best outcomes. Oh, sometimes what we think is failure is actually the beginning of something beautiful." Tommy nodded seriously. "Like how being sick was terrible. But it led to me meeting you and Mr. Jordan. And now I have the best friends ever." "Exactly like that," Marina said softly. Michael appeared beside them, smiling at the group. "You three ready to celebrate? I'm taking everyone to dinner." Over dinner at a fancy downtown restaurant, the group shared stories and laughter. Walter told embarrassing stories about Tommy. Lily demonstrated her latest dance moves. Marina watched it all with a full heart. At one point, Michael pulled Marina aside. "You know what the real lesson here is?" he asked. Marina shook her head. "Success isn't about never failing. It's about what you do after you fall." Michael looked at her seriously. You could have been angry about being fired. You could have sued. You could have given up. Instead, you chose to believe there was something better waiting." "I didn't have much choice," Marina admitted. "You had every choice. And you chose hope. You chose to trust that doing the right thing would eventually lead somewhere good." He smiled. "That's the lesson I want people to take from this story. That character matters. That integrity matters. That showing up for others matters more than protecting yourself." Marina looked across the restaurant at Tommy, laughing with Lily. At Walter, tears of joy in his eyes. At all the people whose lives had been touched by one choice. "Thank you," she said simply, "for seeing something in me I didn't see in myself." "Thank you for reminding me what really matters," Michael replied. Later that night, Marina and Lily walked home through Chicago streets lit by streetlights and neon signs. The city felt different now, familiar, welcoming, like a place where miracles could happen. "Mom," Lily asked, "do you think I'll ever do something as important as what you did?" Marina stopped walking and knelt down to her daughter's level. "Lily, you already do important things every day. Being kind to that new girl at school, visiting Tommy when he's sad, making me laugh when I'm worried." She tucked a strand of hair behind Lily's ear. "Important doesn't mean grand gestures. It means showing up, caring, choosing love over fear. Like you did? Like we all can do every single day." They continued walking, hand in hand. Above them, stars peeked through the city lights. Millions of stars, just like Marina promised to love Lily every night. When they got home, Marina tucked Lily into bed and said their special phrase, "I love you more than all the stars in the sky." "I love you more than all the stars times infinity," Lily replied, their new addition. Alone in her bedroom, Marina hung the framed termination letter on the wall. She stared at it for a long moment. That piece of paper that had once represented her greatest failure. Now, it represented her greatest triumph. She'd lost everything for one small act. and gained so much more than she'd ever dreamed possible. Marina turned off the light and climbed into bed, exhausted, but deeply, profoundly happy. Tomorrow she'd start planning the national expansion. Tomorrow she'd meet with new families who needed help. Tomorrow she'd continue building something that mattered. But tonight, she'd rest. And knowing that the journey from fired to fulfilled hadn't been easy, but it had been worth every terrifying, beautiful step. Because she'd learned what Michael Jordan had known all along. The final score isn't what matters most. It's how you play the game. It's never giving up. It's caring about people more than rules. It's being willing to risk everything for hope. And hope, it turns out, is always, always worth fighting for. 1 year later, Tommy Brennan stood at the free throw line in his middle school gymnasium, basketball in his hands. His heart pounded, not from sickness, but from nervous excitement. The score was tied. 10 seconds left in the game. Everything came down to this moment. "You got this, Tommy!" Lily's voice rang out from the bleachers. Tommy bounced the ball once, twice. He looked up at the hoop, remembering everything he'd been taught. Bend your knees, follow through, believe. The crowd held its breath. Tommy shot. The ball arced through the air in perfect rotation. It kissed the backboard and dropped through the net with a satisfying swish. The buzzer sounded. Game over. Tommy's team won. His teammates rushed him, screaming and jumping. But Tommy's eyes found the stands, searching for the people who mattered most. Walter stood there, tears streaming down his weathered face, clapping so hard his hands must have hurt. Beside him, Marina and Lily cheered wildly, holding a handmade sign that read, "Never give up, number 23. And there, standing quietly in the back corner wearing a baseball cap pulled low, was Michael Jordan himself. He'd flown in from Charlotte just to watch Tommy play his first game since recovering. When their eyes met, Michael nodded once, proud, believing. Tommy felt his own tears come. 2 years ago, he'd been dying in a hospital bed. Today, he'd just made the winning shot in his first real game. After the game in the parking lot, the group gathered together. Walter couldn't stop hugging his grandson. "You did it, Tommy. You really did it. I told you I would, Grandpa. I told you I'd play basketball again." Marina knelt down to Tommy's level. "How does it feel?" "Like flying," Tommy said, grinning. "Like I can do anything." "You can," Michael said, stepping forward. "You already proved that. Basketball is just the bonus." Tommy launched himself at Michael, hugging him tight. "Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for teaching me what courage really looks like," Michael replied. Lily tugged on Marina's sleeve. "Mom, can we get pizza to celebrate?" "Absolutely. Everyone's invited." They piled into cars, Michael's driver following Marina's old Honda, and headed to Tommy's favorite pizza place. Around a crowded table covered with half-eaten slices and pitchers of soda, they celebrated life. Walter raised his glass of root beer. A toast to second chances, to people who show up, to hope. To hope, they all echoed. Meanwhile, across 5 states, the Michael Jordan Hope Foundation had expanded beyond anyone's expectations. Regional offices in Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and Cleveland now employed 43 people. Over 500 families had received help. But the numbers didn't capture the real story. They didn't capture Marcus, age 6, who got the heart transplant he needed because the foundation connected his family with the right specialists. They didn't capture the Rodriguez family, who'd been drowning in medical debt until the foundation stepped in, allowing them to focus on their daughter's cancer treatment instead of bankruptcy. They didn't capture Sarah Chen, a single mother like Marina had been, who received job training and childcare support while her son underwent experimental treatment for a rare genetic disorder. They didn't capture the support groups, the emergency funds, the late-night phone calls when families felt they couldn't take one more day, the hands held in waiting rooms, the meals delivered to hospital bedsides, the hope shared in desperate moments. 500 families, 500 stories, 500 reasons to believe in humanity. See, and it all started with one woman making one choice. 2 years after that, Marina stood in front of a Senate committee in Washington, D.C., testifying about health care access for families with critically ill children. Beside her sat Michael Jordan, using his platform to amplify her message. The current system fails families at their most vulnerable moment, Marina said clearly, her voice steady with conviction. Medical debt shouldn't be the reward for fighting to keep your child alive. Hope shouldn't be a luxury only the wealthy can afford. Senators listened, some nodded, others took notes. When the hearing ended, reporters crowded around them. Michael deflected attention to Marina, as he always did. "This is her story to tell," he said firmly. "I'm just helping make sure people listen." That night, and the news coverage showed Marina's testimony. The story of the store clerk who'd been fired for kindness and turned it into a national movement. In living rooms across America, people watched. Some cried, some called the foundation to volunteer, some wrote checks, some simply decided to be a little kinder tomorrow. One small act, rippling outward forever. 5 years later, Tommy Brennan signed his letter of intent to play basketball at Northwestern University on a full academic scholarship. He'd grown into a talented point guard, but more importantly, a young man of character. At the signing ceremony, reporters asked him about his journey from dying child to college athlete. "I learned something important when I was sick," Tommy said thoughtfully. "Life isn't about what happens to you. It's about who shows up for you. And then it's about showing up for others." He looked directly at the camera. "A woman I'd never met risked everything to give me hope when I needed it most. Now I'm going to study medicine, pediatric oncology, because I want to be the person who shows up for kids like I was." The reporter asked, "What would you say to that woman if she was watching?" Tommy smiled. "She knows. She'll always know. But I'd say, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing I was worth saving. And thank you for teaching me that the best way to honor a gift is to pass it forward." Present day. 8 years. After the firing, Marina sat in her office on the 20th floor of a Chicago high-rise. Through the window, the city sprawled beneath her, alive, bustling, full of stories. Her walls were covered with photos. Tommy graduating high school, Lily's dance recital, families the foundation had helped, smiling despite their struggles. And there, in the place of honor, hung that framed termination letter. Her desk phone buzzed. "Ms. Reeves, you have a visitor." "Send them in." The door opened and a young woman entered, nervous and hopeful. She couldn't have been more than 25, holding a resume with shaking hands. "Ms. Reeves, I'm Jessica Torres. Thank you for seeing me." Marina stood and shook her hand warmly. "Please, sit. Tell me about yourself." Jessica took a breath. "I'm applying for the program coordinator position. I know I don't have much experience, but I have something else." She paused. 3 years ago, my little brother was diagnosed with a brain tumor. Your foundation helped my family. You paid for us to travel to a specialist, and you connected us with housing near the hospital. You were there when no one else was." Marina's throat tightened. "My brother is in remission now," Jessica continued, tears in her eyes. "And I realized I want to spend my life doing what you did for us." showing up for families who are terrified and desperate, being the hope they need. Marina looked at this young woman who reminded her so much of herself 8 years ago. Passionate, determined, willing to fight for others. "The job is yours," Marina said simply. Jessica's eyes widened. "Don't you want to interview other candidates?" "I just did. You have the most important qualification. You understand why this work matters. Everything else, we can teach you." Jessica burst into tears. "Thank you. Thank you so much." After Jessica left, Marina turned to the window again. 8 years. 8 years since that terrible, wonderful day when her life fell apart and came back together in ways she never imagined. Her phone rang. Michael's name appeared on the screen. "Hey," she answered. "Did you see the news?" Michael's voice was excited. "Congress passed the Healthcare Hope Act, the bill we testified for. It's going to help millions of families." Marina's hand flew to her mouth. "We did it? You did it. This was your vision, your testimony, your refusal to give up." Marina sank into her chair, overwhelmed. From one fired store clerk to changing federal law. It seemed impossible. Yet here it was. "Michael," she said softly, "do you ever think about how differently things could have gone if you hadn't shown up that day?" "Every day," Michael replied, "and every day I'm grateful I did. You taught me something important. I'm Marina. Championships end, records get broken. But lives you touch? That impact never fades." After they hung up, Marina sat in the quiet office, thinking about the journey. From $17 to financial security. From unemployable to leading a national organization. From desperate to powerful. From broken to whole. All because she'd made one choice. One small act of kindness that cost her everything and gave her so much more. Marina opened her desk drawer and pulled out something she'd kept for 8 years. A small piece of paper, worn and creased from being unfolded countless times. It was the receipt from that day, the $12 she'd put into the register, hoping to somehow make things right. She stared at it, remembering that moment of decision. The fear, the determination, and the absolute certainty that some things mattered more than security. "Worth it," she whispered to the empty office. It was all worth it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Lily, now 15 years old. "Mom, Tommy and I are studying together. He's helping me with chemistry. Home by 7. Love you more than all the stars." Marina smiled, typing back, "Love you more than all the stars times infinity." As the sun set over Chicago, painting the sky in oranges and pinks, Marina gathered her things to go home. Tomorrow she'd meet with new families. Tomorrow she'd continue the work that never truly ended. But tonight, she'd have dinner with her daughter. She'd listen to stories about school and friends and teenage dreams. She'd be present for the ordinary moments that made life extraordinary, because that was the final lesson in all of this. The hope wasn't just for the desperate moments. Hope was choosing to show up day after day for the people who needed you. Hope was believing that tomorrow could be better. Hope was deciding that love mattered more than fear. Marina turned off her office light and walked to the elevator, passing by the Foundation's mission statement mounted on the wall. "We show up. We believe. We never give up. Because hope is always worth fighting for." 8 years ago, she'd been fired for one small act. Today, that act had changed thousands of lives. And tomorrow, it would change thousands more. Marina stepped into the elevator, pressed the button for the ground floor, and smiled. Because sometimes, getting fired is just life's way of pushing you toward your destiny. Sometimes breaking the rules leads to something beautiful, Sometimes, one small act of kindness creates ripples that never stop spreading. And sometimes, just sometimes, hope wins. The elevator doors closed, carrying Marina down to the street level where her daughter waited, where life continued, where tomorrow beckoned with infinite possibility. One small act, 8 years ago, worth everything. Always and forever, worth everything. And that's the incredible true story of Marina Reeves and Michael Jordan. One small act of kindness that changed everything. Now I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. I love hearing from viewers all around the world. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button. It really helps spread this message of hope and kindness to more people who need to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss stories like this. Stories that remind us that doing the right thing always matters. There's another incredible story appearing on your screen right now. Click on it to keep the inspiration going. Remember, hope is always worth fighting for. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.